Alderman Talonier.
Here.
Alderman Parker.
Here.
Alderman Shipp.
Here.
Alderman Geenan.
Present.
Alderman Clark.
Here.
Alderman Mayberry.
Here.
Alderman Spaghettis.
Here.
Mayor Tomes.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Pledge allegiance. A moment of silence.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Everybody's knowledge, I'm going to pull item number 12 off the agenda. So we're pulling that and bring it back another day. Do number 5, item 5.
Minutes of the March 26, 2018 meeting.
Move to approve the minutes as printed.
Second. Move to second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Item 6.
Update Rock Island by Mayor Tomes.
All right. Fire hydrant flushing program. City Rock Island Public Works Department began the fire hydrant flushing program today, April 9th. Crews will be flushing hydrants at various locations throughout the city for approximately a 2-week period. The purpose of this program is to help maintain water quality standards and the fire protection system. Due to flushing, there is potential for sediment-contained lead to be present in the water supply. Generally, this will clear up and be mitigated by running some water from the cold water tap for a few minutes. For additional information about the fire hydrant flushing program, please visit the city's website at www.rigov.org/water or contact the Public Works Department at 309-732-2200. Picnic shelter reservations. The Rock Island Parks and Recreation is currently accepting picnic shelter reservations for the 2018 season. Reservations can be made over the phone or in person at the park office at the Rock Island Fitness Activity Center at 4303 24th Street. Reserving a shelter is first come, first serve, and payment is required at the time of reservation. Call the Rock Island Park office at 309-732-PARK for more information. Money Smart Week. Get money smart at your downtown Rock Island library by finding cash, learning about Social Security and securely shredding paper. Free financial education classes and seminars for the consumers are offered nationwide during Money Smart Week, April 21st through April 28th, including 3 events at the Rock Island Public Library. The Downtown Library plans to observe the week with programs running Monday, April 23rd through April 25th, 2018, that help you discover unclaimed cash, learn how to plan Social Security benefits, and safely shred confidential documents to protect against identity theft. To learn more, please call 309-732-7303. Item number 7.
Proclamation declaring the weekend of April 20th and 21st, 2018 as the Quad Cities Big Table Weekend.
Get that right one here. All right. We have, I know, several people here to accept this and speak about it for a minute, but we do have a proclamation. It's whereas the 2030 movement created 4 pillars for the Quad Cities to try to achieve by the end of 2030, and whereas those 4 pillars are identified as being cool, creative, connected, and prosperous place, and whereas, as part of the connected pillars, a 2-day initiative called the Quad City Big Table has been established, and whereas it is the goal of the Big Table to unite 5,000 Quad Cityans around 500 tables during the weekend of April 20th and 21st, where Quad Cityans are invited to talk about whatever matters most to them and how individually and together we can make our communities stronger and more connected. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of the City of Rock Island, do hereby proclaim the weekend of April 20th and 21st, 2018 as the Quad City Big Table Weekend in the City of Rock Island, and invite all Quad Cityans to participate in this community-wide initiative to further connect our community so that we can become a cool, creative, connected, and prosperous place. And the City of Rock Island will be hosting several of these big tables. Along with myself, we'll be having one, and I know I'm attending a couple of them, so I really encourage everybody to get involved. Becker and Renee.
Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, your involvement. Here's that.
Thank you.
And if you wish to say a few words, I don't know if we need a photo op for that.
We will. We will. Thank you, Your Honor, members of the City Council, and beloved staff. And as most of you know, I'm Decker Plain. I'm the City Administrator in Bettendorf. And my role tonight is to help kick off the Big Table conversation and thanking you for participating in it. So this conversation has been put together a long time ago, a couple years ago, when we started the Q2030 movement to become, as you saw in the 4 pillars, a cool, creative, connected, and prosperous place. And so as a result of that, this idea came about to try to get these 5,000 folks together. And so my colleagues here tonight are here to talk a little bit about the day and talk about what you can do to help and how easy it is to register. So with me are Renee Gellerman, Gwen Tombergs, Jenny Swanson, and Brandy Donaldson. And I'm going to turn it over to Jenny, who can speak about the table, and then we'll all kind of fill in. And we thought we had half an hour, 45 minutes, didn't we, Your Honor?
Go for it.
Thank you so much.
Take as much time as you need. We ain't got nothing to do.
Jenny's going to tell you how she's going to host and where she's hosting and describe that. I'm going to start throwing props at you.
See? That's her.
So I'm Jenny Swanson, and I just want to encourage everybody to either host a table or to participate on a table. I'm hosting 2 of them, one at my workplace for women in the workplace, and it filled up rapidly. And then I'm doing a neighborhood one, and I just want to share with everyone the comments I've gotten from my little neighborhood in Rock Island. They're so excited to be able to get together and meet each other and just plan different things that we can do and take our one little neighborhood and make it grow into a larger neighborhood. And there's lots of little neighborhoods out there that together make one huge neighborhood of the Quad Cities. So we're just really excited about it. And I encourage all the residents of Rock Island to join a table or host a table.
Hello, Mayor and Alderman. You know, I'm a Rock Islander. I love my city, as you all know, and I know I'll put this city up against any of the Quad Cities as far as its people. We're the most passionate. We have a lot of great things that we do for the Quad Cities, and so it shouldn't be hard for us as Rock Islanders to come up with ways to participate in this conversation about making the Quad Cities better, because we do this every day in the Quad Cities or in Rock Island already. So, you know, as Alderman, I'm very happy that a lot of you have already decided to host tables. I know my Alderman, Alderman Parker's hosting a table in our ward. The mayor's hosting a table. If you haven't already signed up, it's a great way that you can get out there and get to know your constituents a little better and get to know your neighborhoods a little better. So I challenge you all as aldermen to go ahead and host your own table, or if not, then to join one of the tables that your constituents have already put together. And I know I want to see Rock Island be highly represented with the big table, and I'll be going to as many tables as possible. So if you get some tables together, I'll try to join your table if I can. So that's just my little personal challenge to all of you, is to, if you haven't already signed up to host or join, please do so. Thank you.
Gwen, you want to say
Hi, I'm Gwen Tombergs with the Quad Cities Chamber, and I'm the nuts and bolts person. All I'm going to say is, if you go to quadcitiesbigtable.com, you can either register to host or participate at a public location, which just means that they're pre-approved and a room waiting for you, or you can go and register for a private table, which means that you just create your own time, date, and place and then name it. Either way, invite people to join you at your table name and that's how you fill your tables. Thank you.
And we just want to say that right now we have over a couple hundred hosts, but we don't have as many participants. So we're asking people to bring people with them so that they're, in essence, hosting, but getting more participants, preferably people they don't all know, or have their friend bring 3 or 4 people they don't know. Because this conversation, you can have conversations with people you know all the time, but people you don't know are the ones we're trying to connect with. And at the very end, and as I told the mayor, there's no note-taking at these. We're going to survey everybody. We're going to get their email addresses, and we'll survey them about their experience and to let them know afterwards what the themes were that we developed. And so it's going to be an awesome weekend. You can go register at any one of the tables, and you can be in any one of the Quad Cities to do it. And you can do it multiple times if you'd like. So with that, we thank you very much for the proclamation. We thank you for your participation and letting us come tonight.
I already mentioned, but also the topics are not set, and most of it's not set. It's moving to whatever free flows at that table at the time.
And preferably to find out why you live here and what would make it a better place.
Decker, just to let you know, I went online and signed up at a table Friday afternoon at the King Center, and I know that there's lots of other tables available in different places around Rock Island and the rest of the Quad Cities, so I would invite people to come and join us.
Excellent. Thanks.
The city's got, what, 8 of them from the city staff?
At least, yeah.
At least 8 of them, the city staff.
Awesome. I think that's the largest one we've heard so far. So far you're carrying the award, and we'll make sure that it's an appropriate plaque. Anything else? We are, absolutely. Chief, can we go up there?
Out of the 3 sessions I'm hosting, I have 2 that have, I think, a couple openings still for those who work downtown.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Thank you all.
I will be hosting one for Rock Island's 5th Ward on the 20th at 6:30, Hallberg Civic Center. Any 5th Warders want to come out and talk about our ward? I love doing that, so I'll welcome you. Yeah, or even if you don't live in the 5th Ward or Rock Island, you can come too. That's more the merrier. And then I know that the Rock Island Township is also hosting one. That's the township spreads across a number of our wards. Theirs is on the 21st, so I'm not sure on the date, but it's at the Township Hall, the Rock Island Township Hall on 7th Avenue. So there's plenty to pick from. Please come out.
Thank you. Moving on, we have number 8.
A special ordinance removing a handicap parking space at 545 24th Avenue.
Motion consider suspend rules, pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion on it?
Mr. Mayor, why is this sign being removed? I believe I know why, but I believe the public needs to know why.
Sure. The previous owner that owned the house required it, and he has since sold the house to somebody else, and it's no longer required.
Okay, was that Kenny Johnson?
That sounds correct, yes.
He passed away.
Okay.
And he was the person. And I thought that was the reason, not that he moved, but he passed away.
Right.
So we do have a policy as far as removing these signs. Somebody notified Public Works?
Yes. Yes, they did.
Okay.
We went through the Traffic Engineering Committee, and we researched the previous, and then obviously the reasons for wanting it removed, and obviously it was no question.
Also, thank you.
Sure.
Very good. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Roll call.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one. Roll call, please.
Alderman
Man.
Talonier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Very good. Item number 9.
Claims A through D. A, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $14,773.59 to David Morrison of Rock Island, Illinois, for legal services rendered for March 2018. B, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $1,950 to Randy Allison for a general liability claim. C, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amounts of $1,538.32 and $1,917.17 to ServPro for general liability claims. And D, report from the Information Technology Department regarding payment in the amount of $17,872.90 to the Rock Island County Sheriff's Office for the City of Rock Island's share of the OSSI Records Management Software annual maintenance for the year from January 1, 2018 through December 31st, 2018.
Move to accept the reports and authorize payment as recommended for claims items A through D.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried. And claims, E, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment number 6 in the amount of $331,653.15 to Civil Constructors Incorporated of East Moline, Illinois for the water filtration facility project for services provided from March 1st, 2018 through March 31st, 2018.
Move to accept the report and authorize payment as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion on this?
I will be recusing myself from this vote as usual due to my employment.
Roll call.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Thank you. Item 10.
Claims for the weeks of March 23rd through March 29th in the amount of $1,580,778.12, and March 30th through April 5th in the amount of $808,919.88, and payroll for the weeks of March 12th through March 25th in the amount of $1,467,271.08.
Move to allow the claims in the payroll.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 11.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the purchase of site furnishings for the 14th Avenue and 30th Street Pocket Park from Landscape Forms of Kalamazoo, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $30,000.
Move to approve the purchase as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
I guess I would just say my reaction to the amount was I was a little stunned that it was $30,000 for picnic tables and bike racks and things of that nature. But I know that when you shop for those things, specialty items, they are expensive. So
It's all durability for outside,
Yeah.
longevity,
I'm
et
gonna
cetera,
vote.
obviously drives it up. But I guess I'd like to add to that. I want to, compliment the Economic Development Department on a great job having public meetings, getting input, summarizing that, and coming up with a plan. Sometimes you see some of these things put together, shelved, and it never really becomes a reality. And so this one is coming reality. The neighbors like it. The people involved, everybody's happy. So it's a great climax to this project. And so thank you for
I agree.
everybody involved.
And Mayor, I want to echo that as sort of a broader stroke that I know many of us have advocated for up here is that our residents deserve to have nice things. And in places in the public eye that look nice and new, this city, we have priorities with our public funds for the less than glamorous things like water filtration buildings and streets, which we have to do, but I think this is just the start of showcasing that community involvement and the now to some, 30,000, and to many, to myself included, 30,000 is a large sum of money. But as a city with almost 40,000, it's a testament that we all chip in a little and we get a nice space here. And I'm excited to see what the next publicly funded beautification project will be in this city, because our residents deserve it.
I would just like to ask or comment that perhaps, not to put more work on staff, but perhaps in a year or two, we can reconvene the neighborhood organizations up there and just see how everybody's liking it. Because maybe, the vision that we have here it's a nice vision, but maybe, oh, hey, this picnic table here actually is inconvenient in this way. So I think the thing about community involvement in building community isn't necessarily get project done, check mark, done, but that constant sort of involvement and feedback and back and forth. So if I have one request, let's reconvene about this in a year or two and say, how's everybody liking it?
All right. If we could have a roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Schipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Excellent. Item 13.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding the 2018 sidewalk and pavement patching program, recommending extension of the 2017 sidewalk and pavement patching program maintenance contract with Centennial Contractors of the Quad Cities Incorporated of Moline, Illinois, in order to perform the required maintenance through 2018.
Move to approve the contract extension as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mayor. Larry, could I ask you a question here? Having been doing this for a couple of years, I'm familiar with us extending contracts if the terms stay the same.
Correct.
I'm wondering, is there a time limit to that, or can that roll on indefinitely?
I don't know if we can roll on indefinitely. I want to say there is a time limit. Unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure what that time limit would be.
Okay.
I know this one, we looked at potentially partnering with Moline and kind of piggybacking on their particular project. In order to do that, we needed enough positive projects versus the little negative projects. Well, I don't want to consider them negative, but the small little utility patches are the ones that just don't make them a lot of money.
Right.
Versus redoing an entire intersection or entire cul-de-sac. We just didn't have enough of the positive big projects to really benefit from jumping on or piggybacking onto another contract. So when we looked at the costs, obviously staying the same versus a typical 2 to 3% increase, it's obviously a savings for the city currently.
Sure. Yeah, and when I was looking at the thing I was thinking too is just, because I know in terms of the local control, we let a lot of bids throughout the year in various departments. And the one thing I just want to make sure of is that, yeah, we've got a contractor and we like the terms of the agreement, so we extend it. But I'm thinking about, contractor A gets it, but then contractor B didn't get that year, so they know they got to come in a little lower next year. And so keeping that competition at the table, basically.
Sure.
So, so I get the convenience factor of the rollover too, but at the same time, I just want to make sure that we're constantly exercising the number of contractors out there and playing into that competition.
Understood.
Just came to mind when I saw this, so.
Sure, no problem.
Right, thank you.
Unwritten policy is we extend once.
Just, okay. Thank you. That was my question, was basically.
Okay.
Be recusing myself from this vote as well for the same purpose.
All right. If we could have roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Schipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargettis.
Yes.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 14.
Report from the Human Resources Department regarding a 3-year extension of the Health Facilitator Services contract with Holmes Murphy, Jeff Scarpinato, through March 31st, 2021.
Move to approve the contract extension as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll.
Well, I guess I would like to say, I've been sitting in on a few of the city's healthcare planning committee meetings that Jeff is involved in, and I just, it's been nice to see these things that we vote on in action, knowing the guy and stuff like that. So I've appreciated city staff's invitation or welcoming to me be part of that along with some other aldermen. But it's nice being involved.
Good. Roll call, please.
Alderman Challenger.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 15.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a resolution ceremoniously naming 40th Street in Rock Island from 11th Avenue to 13th Avenue, Captain Stephen Phyllis Drive.
Move to accept the resolution as recommended.
Second.
Move in a second. I would like to read it, and then we can do the vote, if it's okay. We have a resolution. Whereas Captain Stephen Phyllis was valedictorian for Almond High School, class of 1978, and United States Air Force Academy graduate, and graduated in 1988 with honors from the Air Force Fighters Weapons School, Top Gun, at Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada, and whereas Captain Stephen Phyllis displayed tough one, bravery while providing cover fire for a crashing fellow pilot, Lieutenant Robert Sweet, when his own warplane was destroyed by Iraq Republican Guard units in northwestern Kuwait during Operation Desert Shield, and whereas Captain Stephen Phyllis gave the ultimate sacrifice on that day, February 15th, 1991, in the cause of freedom and for the life of a fellow service member, and whereas, although Lieutenant Sweet was captured and held as prisoner of war until his release on March 6, 1991, it was because of Captain Stephen Phyllis' valor and selfless acts that Lieutenant Sweet's life was ultimately spared. And whereas, at the request of the staff at Almond High School, it would be an honor for the city of Rock Island to name a street near the his high school, to pay homage for Captain Stephen Phyllis, so that his name and his legacy may forever be remembered. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of Rock Island, state of Illinois, that 40th Street in Rock Island from 11th Avenue and 13th Avenue to 13th Avenue be ceremonially named Captain Stephen Phyllis Drive, and that the appropriate signage indicating this designation be added to signage currently in that area. So the people, and we'll vote on this, and then we'll let you come up and say a few words if you wish. So if we could have a roll call.
Alderman Challenger.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Excellent. Thank you. And if you would mind coming up and saying something real quick. And thank you very, very much for bringing this up to people's attention.
Mayor, I thank you very, very much. And to the very distinguished council members of Rock Island, I thank you very much, heartfelt thanks. And especially to Larry Cook. He's been so helpful. As I say again, Captain Stephen Phyllis, as you heard again the mayor say, he was an outstanding young man. He covered for his Captain Sweet. He gave his life for this country. And he was one of my students. He was phenomenal students. And his father and mother are here this evening. Dr. Phyllis, again, is an outstanding Rotarian. He and the Rotarians, the national Rotarians, are responsible for 98% of polio being wiped out in the third world. And now they've got a program going on where, again, in the third world, they also are having, again, what they call a good drinking water. So you can see the Phyllis family are outstanding people. And I tip my hat to you very much for this great honor. I wish you could have seen that young man. He was phenomenal, and I really mean it. And my heart goes out to each and every one of you wonderful people. And I would like to bring up Dr. Phyllis. Dr. Phil, Doctor, come on, Dr. Dr. Ryan, please. There is no greater heartbreaker when a father or mother loses their son.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Father.
All right. Item 16.
Report from the Finance Department regarding an adjustment to the calendar year 2018 budget, increasing the Community Development Block Grant funds by $434,392.96 through the carryover of unused HUD CDBG grant funds for program year 2017 from calendar year 2017 to calendar year 2018.
Move to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Chandler, can you come up here, please? Or Stephanie, whoever would be better person to answer this question. Basically, the question is, why do we have unspent HUD money?
So with this agenda item, it is a standard item. Last year, at about the same time, we had a budget adjustment as well. In the past, it was clearly related to the fact that HUD's fiscal year is different than ours, and so that's why you see reference to plan year in this document. So their plan year began April 1st of 2017, so they call that their plan year 2017. So they award us an amount, we budget it, but there was kind of a carryover. So that's the case this year. The plan year, April 1, ended March 31st, but then again, we did ask them to align our plan year, their plan year with our calendar year, and so that's why there are some carryover funds.
Okay, so it's more or less a clerical deal?
Mm-hmm. And it's not unusual. Last month or last meeting, we had some carryover funds from Martin Luther King. So again, sometimes we get grant revenue. We don't necessarily spend it all, but then we carry it forward and a budget for it in the next year.
I just want to, I'm sure that I have several constituents that want to make sure that we are, in fact, providing the services from these funds, and so I wanted to clarify that.
For sure.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, go to their roll call then.
Alderman Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 17.
Report from General Administration regarding the city ordinance covering adoption of ordinances.
Move to keep the option to suspend the rules and pass the ordinance as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion?
Well, yeah, so let's talk about this. So as I understand, the recommendation is to just keep it as it is, status quo. This is brought up because I've asked for it. I've asked that we remove our ability to essentially fast-track ordinances or resolutions, et cetera. I understand the argument that if 2/3 of the council members vote in favor of it, it can be not read publicly again. However, this isn't necessarily an issue related to us council members. This is an issue that the public be able to have sufficient time to digest and respond to the things that we are doing. It's a matter of good government, transparency, things like that. I understand the desire to have the ability in the case of economic development or whatever to get something done if it needs to be done on a deadline. But I think several other cities near us do not suspend the rules. And I think that we need to make sure that we are allowing our residents sufficient time to respond to the things that we are planning on doing. So I would like, us to reconsider. If not, that's fine. Perhaps we can make it a policy that it does not, it doesn't default to that. That if a council member really thinks that this is something that needs to be fast forwarded, they can explicitly say that. But how it's written on the agenda or whatever, the default is not suspending the rules. And the council member has to explicitly say when they're making the motion to suspend the rules. But that's my plan B. Ideally, I think we need to not, allow us to do this at all. But if that is not supported by this council, perhaps you will consider a policy change to the default being not suspending the rules.
Two things I want to just say about this, and Dave Morrison, maybe you can help. I think that in terms of parliamentary procedure, it's an inherent right of someone in the body to make a motion to suspend the rules. That is a structural.
I believe that is correct. And for instance, in our Code of Ordinances, we actually specifically adopt Robert's Rules of Order as our rules of order for the council. Now, it would be possible, because we are home rule, to not adopt Robert's Rules, but it would take an amendment of that particular. It would take more than one amendment. We would have to have a change of the ordinance that says you can suspend the rules. It would also require a change of the ordinance portion that says that Robert's Rules of Order apply to the city council meetings. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean it could not be done.
And so the second point I want to make is that in hearing Alderman Parker's legitimate concerns about this, I think the practice has been, since I've been on council, to make sure that in terms of budgets and other ordinances of significance, of significant weight, the practice has been that they carry over 2 sessions. But I think that since the change that we've made to meet in the schedule that we have set up for this year now, there will be items that come up where time will be of the essence. And if we restrict our ability to be able to pass something in one meeting, therein lies the possibility we could miss a timeline for something, whether it's a deal, whether it's a submission of paperwork for a grant, or anything that would require expenditure of public funds. The hypothetical exists. So I think the point's been made loud and clear that we want to give the public more time. And then I think any alderman up here is within their right, if an issue or if an item is put on this agenda where the motion is suggested as suspend the rules, you do not have to take that suggestion. You can just make the motion and make it known that you are making a motion for the first reading, and of course the second would have to happen at the next meeting. So I hear what you're saying, and but those are my 2 thoughts on the issue.
Okay.
I guess I'll chime in a little bit in terms of having made the motion to keep the option to suspend the rules and pass the ordinance. There are a few instances where I think I would agree with Dylan that we should probably have more than one reading. But I think we already have the options to do that rather than make it the default, which to me the default should be the one that we most commonly incur, which is we want to move on with business. We want to take care of business, pass things, and move on. In the instance where we don't want to suspend the rules and pass the ordinance, we don't have to. We can move to consider. I've done that before on this council. I've also agreed to table things that we seem to need more time on after some discussion. So there's that mechanism as well. And while I appreciate Dylan's concerns, I'm not in favor of changing the the operation that we are currently using.
The concern is for the things that we do not predict as individual council members or as the mayor to be something that citizens want to respond to. I mean, we may think that we have the full understanding because we have the briefs from staff and we go to the study sessions and things like that. But ask most citizens that live in this city, and their understanding of the things that we vote on is not nearly as clear as our understanding.
Well, and I agree with you. And when we had our goal-setting session, it was to find ways to have a more engaged community and having opportunities for our citizens to not only digest the material, learn material, ask questions. It seems to me, rather than, this is an opportunity to fill one of those goals, of another opportunity to engage our citizens in city life.
And I think that's exactly right. But I think that we just need to try to be in tune, and if we know those situations, that's when we just do 2 readings. But to lock ourselves in could be difficult also. So I know we had a situation at the end of last year, for example, for tax laws and everything else to try to get something through. That wouldn't have been able to happen.
Well, we held an emergency meeting where there's nothing preventing us from holding an emergency meeting if we were to not give ourselves the ability to suspend the rules and pass the ordinance on 1 reading. We could have the first reading and then have an emergency meeting publicly posted 4 days. If it was that much of a dire need to get something fast-tracked, we do have options to get that done. I'm always cautious of, public bodies saying, trust me, even when I'm serving on it. Right?
You say trust me.
And so if the majority of the council members don't agree, then that's fine. Perhaps consider my secondary policy request that agendas be written as the default being the first reading. But I think that we are potentially missing an opportunity to allow our residents to fully understand what we're doing.
Okay.
I just have one more quick comment. There's also the option to reconsider by the prevailing side, like if you pass something and then it turns out that a whole bunch of people are up in arms because they weren't consulted or they didn't know about it. That's another option to take into consideration. As far as having the public informed, I'm 100% for that. Having their input, I'm 100% for that. How many public people do you see in the audience today? There's 2 people out here. So,
a lot of people that read the minutes and a lot of people that watch on YouTube.
All right, we ready for roll call? Please.
Alderman Challenger.
Yes.
Alderman Parker.
No.
Alderman Shipp.
Aye.
Alderman Keenan.
Aye.
Alderman Clark.
Aye.
Alderman Mayberry.
Yes.
Alderman Spargettis.
yes.
6 ayes, 1 nay. Motion carried.
Item 18.
Report from the Human Resources Department regarding the general liability claim limit, requiring council approval, recommending the limit be increased to $2,500.
Move to approve the increase in the general liability claim limit as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
I'd like to have staff come up and explain to the council what triggered this and why it's necessary.
Okay, what triggered this was that, well, let me give you a little bit of background here. We had a consolidated, citywide plan for insurance, and when it originally started in the mid-'90s, the claim limit was $500. We had a claim that was $1,100. It was basically to settle a lawsuit, and we needed to settle it immediately. But since it was over $500 here, we require city council approval. So we're looking for a little bit of leniency to increase the amount to $2,500, and I'll just add that, basically managers under the purchasing policy can approve services and materials up to, $5,000. So, I know it's a claim here, and we don't have a lot of them that fall on that level, but sometimes we just need to settle them quickly here. And that's the reason for the request.
In that instance, we had a person who we believed was likely, they had already raised, in the time frame when we were trying to consider it, had raised their demand to 1,100, I believe, from a lower amount. And with each day that went by, I believe he contemplated, my personal belief is that he contemplated asking for more and more the more he thought about it. So that was kind of what went into the thought process.
So was this something that was, had to be brought to council previously for approval in this instance that you're citing?
Yeah, we did have.
Above the $500?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And you feel like 2,500 is the number because?
I would think that with a nuisance value for a suit, if you can get it done for less than $2,500, it's going to be cheaper than retaining counsel and fighting that. And if you're able to do that, and I certainly, it's not just our office that participates in this. Obviously, Human Resources does as well. We have members from our insurance carrier who are there as well. So we get a lot of different views. But it was just that we thought that the nuisance value is probably not $500 anymore, but it's probably somewhere between $500 and $2,500.
Okay, I appreciate that. There wasn't much of that type of information in the report, and so it was necessary to inquire about it. And it is the council's, or part of the council's, I believe, responsibility for oversight for the taxpayers' money. So, thanks.
And John, I'd ask, and Randy, that some sort of policy be codified that as I don't know how often these settlements are happening. I don't know how many $500 settlements you had, probably very few if none since that time. But then any time this happens, that triggers an automatic report to the council that there was a settlement so that we know.
Sure.
So that we don't hear it from somewhere else, that we hear it from staff first.
I feel the same way. We should be informed.
Yep.
All right, if we could do roll call, please.
Alderman Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Schipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 19.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding a proposed amendment to Chapter 10, Article 5, Section 10-102 of the Code of Ordinances relating to graffiti.
Move to approve the proposed amendment as recommended and refer to the city ordinance, or city attorney for an ordinance. Sorry.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Chandler, come on up, please. Just so that the public can know, because I get several contacts about this, representing my area. So what's this about? What are we changing, and what's the purpose?
Basically what we're doing streamlines it a little bit. I know Dave was working rather diligently with my staff and trying to make this work.
What we've intended to do is to make it more like the weed and unkept front yard type of notices. So we have drafted a new notice that would go out. But one of the things in reviewing the ordinance that I thought was necessary was people are entitled to due process. And charging them $25 in order to apply for due process, I thought, left the city in a bad position. Mm-hmm. So it was my recommendation that we take that out, because there may be individuals who can't afford $25 for due process, and it's a constitutional guarantee, and that's why we are making that recommendation.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, and I assume that my constituents appreciate it as well. I know that I make several emails to Randy saying there's graffiti on this building, and then I have to wait forever to have something done about it. Not that it's our staff's fault or anything, but just the process as it is written takes a while. So appreciate that, and looking forward to cleaning up our graffiti.
I have a quick comment about the gender-specific language where it says he may. Do we automatically try to update our ordinances and things to change them to be gender neutral or gender inclusive? It says, like the third line down says, if the property owner wishes to object to the notification to remove graffiti, he may, and then 1, 2, whatever after that.
Understand. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I'm just saying, you know, is it,
We certainly can modify that. That is no problem to make it he or she or
They.
They. Yes.
They.
Yeah, the property owner.
yeah. Do we routinely try to do that? I thought I read something somewhere.
That, I can't say that that's been a conscious decision on the part of the city attorney's office, to be honest with you. I think that grammatically, at least back when I was in college, they told us to use the he pronoun. However, I would certainly be happy to reconsider that as times have changed. It's been a while since I was in college, and be happy to do that.
I think the women who own property would appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah, I've thought the same thing myself.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm with you, James.
Can I call you on that?
Well, and I don't
Incredibly
know,
progressive of you.
I don't know how deep we want to go into it.
Not too deep.
In the Code of Ordinances, our city seal is explicitly written as it being an Indian, which may not be the most culturally sensitive terminology, right?
But what do you think it is if it ain't Indian?
American Indian.
Wow.
American
Call
Indian.
the question, Mayor. I call the question.
America.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Are we ready to vote on this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Keenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Burgettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 20.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance. Appendix A, Article 5, Sections 5.10 and 5.10A, and to the sign ordinance, Chapter 4, Article 3, Section 4-63F1 of the Code of Ordinances relating to variances for business zone properties of or larger than 20,000 square feet in total area.
Move to approve the proposed amendments as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
For the second, we have discussion.
I have a question, kind of a procedural question. There was a motion and a second in the meeting where we discussed this previously, and now we have a new motion and a second. So what do we do with the first one? It was tabled.
Right. And generally speaking, depending on tabling or if it's continued to a date certain, tabling it would, if it's never brought back from the table, it dies on the table.
It was to a date certain, I think.
Okay.
Was it not?
Yeah.
Okay. And do we know what date certain, if there was no action
To
taken?
the minutes.
I think it was May.
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 Okay. So in that case, then, I do believe that you could go forward with this, with the vote, and then at that time to reflect that you've made the decision to address that issue if it was May. If it had already happened, then it would be my opinion that it had died, but if it's not until a future date in May, then I think we should address it at that meeting.
So
Well, you're voting on it here.
I think you can vote on it
Pass it here, and then just recognize that you voted.
Recognize it, and you could actually, I think you could withdraw it at that time if it was something different than what the motion that was made.
Well, I didn't know if you needed to have it withdrawn tonight.
Yeah, no, I don't believe you need to have it withdrawn
Okay.
tonight.
That's fine.
Okay.
I guess I would like to reiterate my opposition to this. I appreciate the willingness to refer back to the BZA and the Planning Commission and try to come up with a compromise. But again, I state that I do not feel comfortable allowing the council making these types of decisions. I think it makes it into a political decision. You could have a major developer come in here and promise $5,000 to one of our reelection campaign, and then you're allowing a shrimp manufacturing farm in the middle of a residential area or something, right? So that's my say on it. I have a feeling it
great
might be
point.
like the other vote, but you know.
I was actually quite surprised when I read that the 6 people on the BZA approved it in the report. They said they were in favor of it, and I'm going, 2 months ago, I think every one of them called me and said no. So I'm with you.
It says the Planning Commission voted 6-0.
Yeah, both of them.
They both did?
Yeah, they both worked on it and everything else, and that's, I got to say once again, I think based on your comments, that the CED department did a good job of going back to them.
I agree.
And getting input and compromise, if you want to call it that,
But it was-
And so that's where I think it changed, Steve, with their feelings on it, was that compromise. And it kind of matches what some of the other cities are doing on some of the larger projects.
I guess I still feel if it's not broke, don't fix it, and it's been a staff-driven proposal from the beginning, and so I understand.
Well, staff, I mean, I gotta say that I support it type deal. There's no doubt about that. Okay? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanair.
Aye.
Parker.
No.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
No.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
5 ayes, 2 nays, motion carried.
Item 21.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the review of a 3-lot minor plat of the Quad City Industrial Center, Second Edition, located at approximately 3rd Avenue.
Move to approve the final plat as recommended, subject to obtaining all required signatures on subdivision plat certificates and subject to conforming to requirements in the zoning and subdivision ordinances.
Move to second. Any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 22.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the review of a 2-lot minor plat of the Rock Island Livestock Auction Edition located at 542 and 702 34th Avenue.
Motion to approve the final plat as recommended, subject to obtaining required signatures on subdivision plat certificates and subject to conforming to requirements of the zoning and subdivision ordinances.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion? There's a mouthful.
Yeah, long way to read, too.
Move to second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 23.
Report from the mayor regarding reappointments and appointments to the Health Code Board of Appeals and the Electrical Code Board of Appeals.
Move to approve the reappointments and appointments as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. And I'd say any discussion. I know somebody's going to say, who are they?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're getting predictable.
That's dangerous.
That is. That is. So let's see. We're talking about the electrical and health. Make sure, because we got a number of them tonight here. So the reappointments for the health was Sally O'Donnell. She's been, I think, on 1 term. And then also a new appointment was Paul Gussie on the health. And on the electrical, the reappointment of Jeff Thomas, reappointment of Harlan King, reappointment of Martin Pizzano, and appointment, a brand new one, Daniel Mount. He is he is an electrical engineer with the IEFM Consulting Engineers. He's replacing a member that resigned. So that's the individuals there. And all those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. 24.
Report from the mayor regarding reappointments to the Sunset Marina Boaters Advisory Committee, the Police Pension Board of Trustees, and the Library Board, and appointments to the Library Board and the Park Board.
Motion to approve the reappointments and appointments as recommended.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion besides me reading the names? I don't know if there's any. But we have it for the Sunset Boaters Advisory. You got reappointment of Nick Dietrich. Get that right? I know the gentleman. He's been on there for a while. Reappointment of Police Pension Board is reporting Stephanie, the Finance Director. Reappointment for the Library Board is Karen Phillips. Reappointment is Pat Mahar. And then a new appointment is Holly Sparkman. Holly is the Communications director for the high school, or for the school system, excuse me, Rock Island Mountain School Systems, and has been involved in a number of different entities throughout the Quad Cities, being the Art Guild and John Deere Classic and the Marathon and several other organizations and that sort of thing throughout the community. Very respected individual. Park Board appointment of Bill Anderson, happens to be in the audience. He also comes from with some experience. He's retired TSA agent, worked for the federal government. He also worked part-time out at Highland Springs at one point, former clubhouse manager at a course that I know, and a few other activities. So he's well qualified to help represent the Park Board. And I guess that's it from those. So, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. 25.
Report from General Administration regarding the appointment of City Freedom of Information Act FOIA officers and a City Open Meetings Act OMA officer.
Move to approve the appointments as recommended.
Second.
Moved and second. Discussion?
Apologies, staff, who are the FOIA officers? That's not Judith.
It's here. I got it.
Main sheriff.
Yeah, I know, but who are they?
They are in the police department.
Okay. So they will be handling the police.
They already handle them already. Judith was the only official officer, so this is just identifying 3 officers. But those are the 2 individuals within the police department that handle the FOIAs.
Thank you very much.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. 27.
26.
Oops, 26, I'm sorry.
Report from the city clerk regarding an activity application from Community Healthcare for a cycling event on Saturday, June 30th, 2018, from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Move to approve the event as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 27.
Report from the city clerk regarding a request from Augustana College, Office of Student Life and Leadership, for a sound amplification permit for Saturday, May 5th, 2018, from 9 a.m. to midnight for a music festival in the Lower Quad at Augustana College.
Motion to approve the sound amplification permit as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I've got a that I wanted to point out here. 34th Street Avenue, 34th Avenue and 9.5 Street. Is that the second ward?
I don't think so.
Whose ward is that?
My ward.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Why
great.
you want to put me in that mix?
So that's the 3rd ward. I went to the Augustana College that's in the 6th ward. And so I'm excited to go to the 3rd ward, Lower Quad, this Saturday, May 5th.
You got to explain this, Josh. You're going to confuse everybody.
So in the application, it's listed as 3435 9th and a half Street. It should be 9th and a half Avenue. So I will be looking for that Lower Quad in your ward.
It's in there. You got to go look for it.
It's a great event. It's going to make a lot of noise and have a lot of people down there all day long. So.
Well, how come this one isn't threatened with the shutting it down if noise complaints? It's always been a grief of mine that they do that to all the other ones, and then this one doesn't have that threat.
Not a liquor.
They got a problem, they can call me Steve.
I don't
We'll work
think
through
you
it.
should shut it down.
Steve, any alderman can include whatever they want in the original motion.
Well, you'd have to read it before tonight.
All right. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 28.
Report from the city clerk regarding a request from Bent River Brewing Company for an outdoor event with outdoor alcohol sales and outdoor alcohol consumption in the fenced-in parking lot on Saturday, April 28, 2018, from noon to 5 p.m. at 512 24th Street.
Move to approve the event and the requests as recommended, subject to complying with all liquor license regulations and subject to being closed down early if complaints are received.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. 29.
Report from the city clerk regarding a request from Kavanaugh's Hilltop Tavern to have live entertainment with sound amplification on their outdoor deck on Fridays and Saturdays until 11 p.m. and on Sundays until 6 p.m. from May through October 2018.
If you want to take this one?
It's a layup. You go ahead.
Move to approve the requests as recommended, subject to complying with all liquor license regulations and subject to being closed down early if complaints are received.
Second. Moved in second. Any discussion?
I hope the neighborhood
I tried to get it out before you
is
said
spared this year of the music that our good friend came and shared with us. In all seriousness, that was some incredibly trashy music.
If you have a complaint, call me.
Call Dylan.
Call me.
Call Dylan.
Call Dylan.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right, item number 30.
Other business.
Go ahead, James.
I have two quick announcements. April 8th through 14th is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, 911 operators, if you want to call them that. And we want to just mention that and recognize them for the critical and dedicated work that they do. The other thing is the two townships, Rock Island and South Rock Island Townships, both put out newsletters. And they're excellent newsletters. I would recommend whichever township you live in that you pick one up somewhere. They're available a variety of places. And one of them even lists current city officials for the city of Rock Island and their phone numbers. So if you want that information, grab a township letter.
Half the world knows mine. I don't know. Get the rest of it
It's
out
on
there.
the website.
I have, I guess, a couple. Once again, of course, sitting in front of me is a continue to remind me, but support the Rock Island Libraries. We've got Food for Thought, April 19th at 6 p.m. up at the Jewish Center. So I think we all should help support that, pass it on to our neighbors and friends and everything else, and
You
try
buy
to encourage.
tickets at the door.
Buy a ticket at the door.
Right, Angela?
That's exactly. It's actually $40 in advance. So I appreciate and encourage everybody to be there. Another question or thought is we had a couple council members that attended some conferences, and I didn't know if they had any words of wisdom they could bring back with them or not. Ivory, I know you were out in D.C. for one.
I just heard some wonderful speeches from Senator, who is it? Booker, Cory Booker. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he told some wonderful things about how he started out as a county board member and how we are the ones that really get things done, city council members and county board members, because we are the ones that fill those first calls. We're the ones that have to deal with the potholes, and so I'm going to come around and pat all you guys on the back just based off of what he told us at that meeting.
Was there anything that you felt that the city would know or the city council could use to help better itself?
Well, there were several things, and when I talked to the chief about body cams, I received some of that information from these conferences we went to. So there were several things that we discussed.
Alderman Mayberry.
Yes, I went with the Chamber of Commerce to D.C. also. I think it was 2 weeks after you'd been out there. And we were lobbying. I think there were 37 people from here that went there. And one of the main things we lobbied for was part of this $100 billion that the president is releasing for the military. We would like as much of that money at the Rock Island Arsenal as possible. As we know, they built, I believe it is 71 new homes over there. The lady that spearheaded that was there, and she said it took 5 years. She started on that 5 years ago, and, you know, they're finishing it now. She said with the technology now, it should not take that long to do it. It should, you know, if we get more new housing over there, it maybe take 2 years. So that will help all of the Quad Cities. The other program we were told about is the Interstate 80 bridge. It's not going to be tore down, the new one. they're going to restructure it because it needs a lot of work. And then last but not least, the railroad. Okay, as we know, Moline's already built the train station there, but there's no train coming in. But that will be released also from Princeton to Moline. So we've got a lot of economic development and a lot of work coming to the Quad City area. So everything out there was positive.
Very good. And I guess I don't know if anybody else went to any of the conferences or conventions or anything else since the last time, but I guess I would like to kind of start a little tradition of, at this time of the evening when we get done, that each person that does attend one give a little bit of talk about what they learned, what best practices, or maybe something the city could pick up on, or the citizens, or a trend, or whatever it is. I think that the citizens, once again, to get to know that when we do these things, it's money well spent, and we're learning something, and how we can better ourselves.
And one thing that I remember we discussed is, it was they were telling cities to be prepared for marijuana laws, that they're going to be out there, that they're not turning around on that. So they said if you're not already prepared for what you're going to do in your city as far as staff goes, or as far as staff, or as far as your policies, as far as with staffs taking it legally, but coming in and drug policies and those things, if you're not already prepared for those things, you're behind.
I agree. Be prepared. Did you have something, Josh? Oh.
Yeah, to that end, we didn't plan this, Alderman Clark, but I wanted to make, I know this other business section is kind of becoming our sounding board for ideas that we want to push, and in the full spirit of honoring the Open Meetings Act, that we're not doing this behind closed doors, but I intend to lead an effort on this council to get a resolution passed calling for our General Assembly and for the governor to legalize marijuana in the state of Illinois as soon as possible. I think it's far beyond time that we've lost many years already with states like Colorado funding and overfunding their public education systems, states like California picking this up now, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in this state, and not even to talk about the hemp industry and the actual industry jobs that can come from that. Rock Island, I think, has been a leader in the Quad Cities in embracing first the medical marijuana side, but I think it's time to give 21 year of age and older adults the right to choose if they want to have alcohol or tobacco or marijuana as a recreational substance. Seeing the financial impact over the past couple budgets, how the state has had to put into these big bills provisions to take money from the cities, and they're balancing the state budgets on the backs of the county governments and the local governments. We have pensions to pay, we have roads to fix, we have schools to fund, and we've given the cartels and the underground markets full reign over commerce that has gone untaxed for far too long. And so I believe it's time to regulate it, bring it to the full light of civil society, and reap those benefits financially as well.
Josh, I'd support you. In 2017, Colorado collected $1.5 billion in taxes. Oregon collected $85 million, and Washington State collected $319 million in tax revenue on marijuana sales.
Our homeowners are overtaxed. The businesses are paying enough. It's time to bring in new revenue in a very substantial way. I've heard from some legislators and from incumbents and candidates, some very strong, some saying we need to wait. The waiting is a joke, and I want this city to lead a city-by-city effort across the state to say, pass the bill, let's do it. It's time to do it.
House Bill 2353 and Senate Bill 316.
Not to mention the countless lives that have been ruined by the war on drugs. We've thrown far too many people in prison because of marijuana. So this isn't just a money-making operation. This is rectifying, putting too many people in prison.
One last issue I guess I bring up is that it is also Child Abuse Prevention Month. And I know they've been going around the community and talking to a number of businesses and promoting it and everything else. The Child Abuse Council here in town. I had the pleasure of speaking at and attending the one at Modern Woodman. Once again, I must say that Modern Woodman steps up to the plate. When they do something, they do it in the right way. We had two different meetings because they couldn't bring all their employees in at one time, but they had 600 employees listen to this presentation and participate in it. They did a week-long event with a bake sale and games being played and raffles and that sort of thing. And the employees pitched in money. They did the $5 Wear Jeans Day and raised $2,000 just on that day alone. And they went out and they're doing these pinwheel gardens where they do the pinwheels that spin. And they ended up with 600 of them, actually 599, and they let me put up the 600th one. But Kenny Massey spoke at it, and the commitment they make is just outstanding behind a lot of issues that they do. So I guess one's kudos to Modern Woodman, as usual, is stepping up to the plate and taking a great social issue on and making it known and putting some money behind it, along with just recognizing that it's a lot cheaper to prevent child abuse than it is to work with it after the fact. And, Dylan, you talk about, not putting people in incarcerating. That's where they go afterwards. And so it's much cheaper and safer to prevent it. They are having a fundraiser event, I guess, give them a plug, April 26th at Stony Creek, I believe. Or no, at
High Wireless.
TaxSlayer. They're doing a deal. And encourage people to attend that, but there's some fun auction stuff there and everything else, but to help raise money for a great cause of Child Abuse Council, but child abuse prevention, once again. So a little plug for them in Modern Woodman.
Not to go back to marijuana, but I know we had a study session about our CORA ordinance, and is there any movement on that, Randy? Specifically, I know a number of us aldermen wanted to remove marijuana from the list of offenses, or whatever you want to call it, that kicks CORA in.
I was going to ask Dylan, is it possible that a couple aldermen at a time sit down with the chief and we just have a discussion? Start that discussion there.
I think it's a good idea.
I just want to know that we're doing something and that the conversation didn't end with the study session.
No, it's in work, and it was up to a certain amount. It wasn't just all marijuana.
Yeah.
I mean, because
the
50 pounds of marijuana in your trunk is not something you probably want to, at least not until next year.
When they exactly. When they legalize it, I guess you can have 50 pounds of booze in the back.
All right. We have item 31 on the agenda.
Wait, I had one more
sorry.
thing, not related to marijuana. Many residents of the community may be happy to hear that the Broadway Historic District Association is bringing back our Mother's Day tour of homes. It's been since the 90s, I believe. Our neighborhood has put on the Mother's Day tour of homes, and this year, by popular demand, it's back. So May 13th from 1 to 4 p.m. There'll be more on our neighborhood's website, www.broadwaydistrict.org. You can purchase tickets there. Still hammering out the final details, but there's 7 properties on the tour currently. So the current Broadway Historic District Association Board of Directors is very excited to bring this event back. And it was very popular. So please come and be watching for ticket sales.
Excellent. All right.
Mayor, before we adjourn, I was just reminded one of our local ministers, who was a community leader for many years, Reverend Ken Kenning, passed away, and I just want to say that he'll be greatly missed.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Item 31, adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. I assume there's no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?